Hello friends, welcome to this lecture of Computer Organization and Architecture. In this lecture, I am going to discuss about instruction format. What is instruction format? Instruction format constitutes a basic component for the working of the entire computer. Instruction format basically decides what kind of the ALU operation is going to be performed by the processor of a given computer. So let us understand more about the instruction format in this lecture. Let us begin with a very general discussion that what is computer? Fine. What actually a computer do? What is computer? So we all understand that computer is an electronic machine. It is an electromechanical machine. It is an electromechanical machine that takes some input from user and process it under a program which is nothing but a combination of data plus instruction to give some meaningful output. So we can understand when we say computer, a computer takes some input from user and process this input under the control of program, some sort of program which is nothing but data plus instruction. Fine. So this program can be anything. Fine. Whether it can be a system program, whether it can be your application program, or whether it can be user defined program. Right? And with the help of this, the computer gives us some meaningful output. Fine. This meaningful output can be either working of computer devices like moving of cursor on monitor, running of printer, display of output on monitor, etc. All these are the activities that we can get as an output. If we are writing a program, we can get the object code as output. So it is also an output. Fine. So any kind of the request that is given by the input is going to be processed by the computer under the control of some program to give some meaningful output. So if we talk about system program, it is nothing but operating system. Fine. Operating system controls the working of the entire computer. Fine. Application program. So application program, in case if we talk about the application program, we have the application program that means to perform some application. Like if we want to hear music, we can switch on to VLC media player. Fine. If we want to write something, we can switch on to the text editor like MS Word. Fine. Or Notepad, etc. Fine. So all these are the application program. And user defined programs are basically those programs that are basically used by the user using some programming language, like if you want to write the program using C, C++, Java, etc. Fine. So this is the entire you can say the working of the computer. So on which part of the computer we have to focus upon in this lecture, or you can say the entire lecture of the computer organization and architecture, we have to focus on this portion, fine. And in this portion the important thing is the program. We are talking about this program, how the data and instruction is basically worked upon inside the computer, fine. So let us move further. This data or instruction is basically stored as a binary instruction into the main memory, fine. So let us understand that what actually I want to say. So data and instruction are stored as binary pattern in main memory. This is a very important point. Main memory or the internal memory, whatever you can say, it is the internal memory, or you say it primary memory. One of the primary memory, another primary memory is ROM, fine. Or you can say it RAM, fine. You can say it as RAM, fine. RAM. So what happens actually? Data and instruction are both stored as a binary pattern inside the main memory. So in the entire lecture series of computer organization and architecture, I am going to define the main memory using this notation, this symbol, fine. I will use this diagram to indicate the main memory in computer during my entire lecture series of computer organization and architecture, fine. So this is the main memory. Let us consider it is a main memory. It is a main memory, and in this main memory we have certain binary pattern, fine. Certain binary patterns are there, fine. Certain binary patterns are there. So in this binary pattern can be data, and this binary pattern can be an instruction. So the question is, how we can know that this binary pattern is data or instruction? So it is a very important important point here, that how we basically can distinguish that whether a given binary pattern is a data or the instruction. So remember that when we have binary pattern plus some value, we have binary pattern plus some value, it always gives data. And when we have binary pattern plus operations, then it is nothing but instruction, fine. So remember that this is an important point to be kept in mind, that when binary pattern as well as per value, it always gives us data, and when binary pattern is combined with the operation, it always gives us instruction. So what actually happens that in order to process our instruction, whatever the user gives some input request to the computer, that input request is going to be processed by the system by fetching that instruction from main memory, fine. What actually happens that in order to work upon the data or instruction provided by us in the form of the program to the computer, with the help of processor, I am saying microprocessor, fine. With the help of microprocessor, with the help of microprocessor, the computer will fetch these binary pattern, or you can say will fetch instruction, basically not data but instruction, or you can say data also, fine, data or instruction into the instruction register, IR, fine, this is IR, nothing but instruction register, fine, instruction register to instruction register to process over the instruction to give some output, fine. But there are a series of the steps taking place in from this part to this part that we have to discuss in our lecture series, fine. So what you have to remember that microprocessor will fetch the instruction into the instruction register on the basis of PC. And what actually the PC? PC stands for program counter. PC stands for program counter. So program counter basically stores the address of next instruction to be fetched from main memory. Fine, this is a basic idea, fine, of the program counter. So microprocessor basically fetches the instruction on the basis of the PC, which simply stores the address of the next instruction to be fetched from main memory into the instruction register. And from this instruction register, a series of the steps takes place to give us some meaningful output. So what we have to understand that this entire task is performed under the control of some program, fine, and that program is known as microprogram, fine. And the programming that we do in the computer organization and architecture, or you can say microprocessor, is microprogramming. So microprogramming basically consists of instruction format, and that instruction format consists a large set of the instructions that decide what kind of the operations are basically supported in our computer system, fine. So let us talk what the instruction format basically is. Fine. Let us understand that what actually the instruction format is. So we have the instruction format, and what actually the significance of instruction format, let us understand that, fine. So instruction format, if we understand the instruction format, it is a set of large number of inbuilt instructions, fine. These inbuilt instructions are basically stored in ROM, fine. It is very important, fine. How RAM is different from the ROM? RAM basically stores user program as process into the main memory that is going to be processed by the processor to give some meaningful output. As compared to the RAM, ROM basically stores the inbuilt instruction. That means the instruction which has already been defined by the manufacturer and stored into the ROM, which stays in the computer permanently, fine. So it consists of the inbuilt instructions that controls the logical and decision making, or you can say that performs the logical and decision making operations inside a computer. Right? So whatever the logical and decision making task is performed by the computer, that is basically that controlled or performed by the instruction format on the basis of the instructions stored in the instruction format. So what is actually the instruction format we have? Instruction format is basically consists of two components. The first component is known as opcode, fine, which stands for operation code. Opcode stands for operation code, that what kind of the operation we have to perform, fine. And the second thing is the operand, fine. So what actually the opcode simply tells the operation going to be performed. And the operation are basically represented in the form of symbolic code known as mnemonics, right, which we will study under the microprogramming, right, mnemonics. And it helps us in doing microprogramming, right, microprogramming, or you can say assembly, using assembly language, fine. So this portion is basically the opcode. Let us discuss about what is mnemonic. Mnemonic is simply the you can say add, subtract, multiply, and, or. All these are nothing but and is basically represented by ANA, or is represented as ORA. So all these are the symbolic instruction known as the mnemonics, and this is nothing but opcode, fine. Next is operand. When we talk about the operand, it basically tells about the data on which opcode will act to give, or you can say to perform, some ALU operation, right? Some ALU. ALU is nothing but ALU is basically arithmetic and logical operation, logical unit operation, fine. Logical unit, that is arithmetic and logical instruction. So ALU operation, and this opcode basically consists of two of the things. We get the two information. It conveys two information. It conveys two information to the user, and these information are: number one, registers, and what kind of registers we are using, and number two, addressing mode, fine, addressing mode. So we will discuss in details about registers and addressing mode in our coming lecture. So on which part of the we have to focus on in this instruction format? We have to focus on First thing, microprogramming. How we can do the microprogramming in the computer organization and architecture. That is nothing but the assembly, a sort of the assembly language. Fine. And next is opcode. So in opcode, we have to understand what basically the registers are, how basically they work, and what is addressing mode, what are the various kind of the addressing mode discussed under computer organization and architecture. This is all about the instruction format in this lecture.